Experience tranquility.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another week of Overwatch Tranquility. My name is Doran. Alongside tonight with me is Cool Sam. Cool Sam, how you doing?
I'm doing just great. Pretty excited for the match tonight.
Yeah, we got Maelstrom taking on Minty Hippos. Minty Hippos sitting just on the verge of getting knocked out of that play-in phase. They're looking to secure their position, maybe pick up a win here up against the number 2 team, Maelstrom, coming in hot. What do you think about this matchup?
It'll be certainly interesting. I think really what we want to watch tonight is the Minty Hippos more than anything. Sitting in that 10th spot, they're not too far out. The Comets still have a chance to knock them out of the playoffs. However, if they can get just a couple maps off of Maelstrom here tonight, that'll be enough for them to secure that spot and allow them into those that play-in tournament.
Yeah, and I think outside of just making it into the play-in tournament right now is really when your team's got to turn on and start making some of those changes that you need if you really want to be a contender, one of those dark horses from the play-ins themselves, if you really want to go further into it. And I think if there's any team to show yourself up against, it's Maelstrom. They did come off a loss up against Vitamin C a week ago, and so that was a big loss for them, showing they're not quite as strong as we might have thought them to be. And so maybe it's Minty Hippos opening to come in and really make a statement here.
Absolutely. As you said, Maelstrom, they lost Vitamin C. It's their second loss in the season outside of the Careless Pandas. Other than that, they've had a pretty strong season. They lost Ruru relatively early in the season. He's been swapped out with Iconic, and Iconic's I would say done fairly well for Maelstrom. Still showing some holes. I don't think they're necessarily a perfect team. That 11-2 record shows that they do have some flaws. Minty Hippos on the other side, really up and down season, a lot of wins, a lot of losses, kind of been a bit of a streaky team here. However, they're coming off a win with Spare Change, and they're coming off the bye week win over Overtime Gaming. So they've got a little bit of momentum here. They've had some time to prep.
Yeah, maybe that extra week is going to be a little bit what they need, especially coming up against the number 2 team. That extra time to prep will really come in handy for them. But as we get into it, the first map will be Ilios. What do you think these teams are going to be looking to run?
Oh boy, with Ilios you can see a lot. You can I wouldn't be surprised to see some Roadhog here on the well map. Outside of that, maybe some Ball, maybe some more divey comps. I wouldn't expect to see as much double shield in these maps in particular.
Yeah, first up it will be Ruin, so lots of interesting stuff to be played here. Widowmakers for the long sightlines, all sorts of interesting dive. Reinhardt on the point, but I think one of the biggest things to note will be these tank picks. Like you said, Orisa Sigma, not necessarily the go-to here, although you can run lots of different stuff.
Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see on the side of Maelstrom, Triage, quite known for his hitscan play. I wouldn't be surprised to see him pulling out the Widow here on Ruins.
Yeah, these long sightlines, and from all different angles, you can really get a view on the point, and if it goes unchallenged, it can get a lot of value, so it will be interesting to see if Minty Hippos fire back and play hitscan of their own.
And as we take a look here at these initial lineups, you can see from the set of Maelstrom running a very classic dive comp here with the Winston Diva, and you've got that Widow, as we pointed out, Trials on the Widow, and then Iconic on the Tracer. And as we look at the side of the Minty Hippos, we got a little bit of interesting comp here. We've got some Doomfist, some McCree, and then the interesting pair of Sigma and Zarya.
Now, from my perspective, I absolutely hate Sigma Zarya, but I'd love to see him put it to good use and prove me wrong here. And also, the Diva, I'm yet to see it put to good use, but I'd love to see Mountainfall really pop off on this and deny a lot of damage. But I think a lot of this is going to be on Minty Hippos running a little bit more of the off-meta composition here. as they come into this point.
Mm-hmm.
The shield set up from Minty Hippos. It will be Maelstrom looking for an engage here off the back of Crispy and his rocket pack. Iconic laying in the poke damage on the Tracer.
And both teams just kind of staring each other down right now, not wanting to engage too hard yet.
Klaus punishing with that flashbang, finding the headshot onto the Tracer. Show looking for something on his engage, but it will be Minty Hippos taking the point for free. Maelstrom not being able to dive with their Tracer going down so early. They will just be disengaging, trying to get out, taking as little damage as possible. But all in all, that was a pretty passive fight, if I'm completely honest.
It's very interesting to see that from Maelstrom be such a passive dive comp. I don't think they could quite find that target they wanted to pounce on, and it took them so long that it allowed for Klaus on the McCree to get 2 picks on both of the DPS before the fight could really even unfold.
I think it'll be interesting to see how Sho wants to play this Doomfist. He can sit back, wait for the dive, and play Peel for his Ana, for his Moira, and his McCree. However, it does look like he's been making a few little entrances into the backline like that, as it is Iconic going down. Sho shutting that one down real quick. Not so sure about this Tracer pick. He is seemingly lost in the backline of Minty Hippos.
Yeah, Iconic. Its timing seems to be just a little bit off there. He can't seem to engage at the right time, and it's allowing for the Minty Hippos to capitalize on his mistakes and have that early pick before the fight even starts.
Yeah, and we've seen a whole lot of posturing from the side of Maelstrom, but not a whole lot of diving as the switch onto Orisa Hog does come down. It looks like they're going to be trying to find a few more picks here, and is maybe suited a little bit better into this McCree Doomfist, which was countering the full dive that they were running.
That shield is going to be crucial here, as that Sigma shield really can't keep up with that of the Orisa shield.
Yes, Sho first man in, going to have to use his ultimate to get out on that Doomfist. Triage has the high ground here, but it will be Quick going in, dropping the Gravitic Flux. Iconic though, finding the pick onto Sho as Triage engages onto the back line. Minty Hippos will be the man going down though, as a Coalescence is invested from Dallas Homer. Even fight here, 4 versus 4 coming onto the point. But the Nano Boost will go down onto Quick, the shield, the last tank alive. Pardon me, not the last tank alive. P-Shroom trying to keep him alive. Quick going down, 2 half HP. Iconic though, getting the Nano Boost, will be taking out this Sigma real quick if he's not getting the heals that he needs, as the Sho pushes onto the tank line, taken down real quick by the Orisa and Roadhog of Maelstrom. Safely behind that shield though, from the grab, not getting any value. P-Shroom in the middle of no man's land on point, as it looks like Maelstrom looking to take this point. The purple nade going down onto Maxi will be finished off as Klaus, Quick, and Dallas just trying to find a little bit extra here on point, but they won't be able to as they just try and get out.
Now, excellent play there from the side of Maelstrom. As you saw, the Minty Hippos completed all 6 of their ults over the course of that extended fight. And they really only were able to secure 2 kills out of that. Maelstrom, despite losing those 2, were able to get picks of their own and take that fight to point and eventually settle in and finally get some progress moving in their favor.
Yes, sir. 3 or 4 ultimates coming up for the side of Maelstrom. However, Quick did manage to charge up 75% of another Gravitic Flux in that single fight. So not all is lost for Minty Hippos here as they look to engage. They have 99%. They can take this dry and just look to get some more ult charge here.
Now, Quick coming up with that Gravitic Flux, and Squashhead is not going to have the beat to help counter that.
Sho first man in, Coalescence to help him out, as the Gravitic Flux does come down, knocking all those heroes down to half health, and the Blossom coming out from Iconic will pick up P-Shroom. No more Zarya for Minty Hippos, pardon me. As they will just take this point nice and easy. They got their ultimates up relatively quick there. The Gravitic Flux coming up in absolutely no time, and it will be the Doomfist ult just trying to get the point here, not going to be able to touch in time.
And that was a huge Gravitic Flux there by the side of the Quick. That, like I said earlier, Squashhead did not have that beat. And that anti, actually a great anti from the side of Minty Hippos onto the Maelstrom Orisa Crispy. Despite the nano coming out from Maelstrom, the healing wasn't there because of the anti, and that allowed for the Orisa to be finished off after the slam down from the Gravitic Flux.
Yes, sir. I think a lot of that map was coming down to the way Maelstrom played so passively on that dive comp to start with. They gave up a whole lot of percentage and a whole lot of the ultimate economy, and it really bit them in the butt in the end. And I'd like to see if they're going to maybe change things up here. Maybe run that Orisa Hog a little bit more, playing around this well, and maybe a little bit more of an even fight coming onto well.
Absolutely, and it looks like, as we're seeing, both teams owning that Orisa and that Hog are really looking to play those environmentals to their favor. You can see Sho on the Pharah adding that another level of environmental kills from the side of the Minty Hippos.
Now, outside of the Hot Hook, one of the biggest things here will be Sho on Pharah versus Triage on the Ashe here. Whether or not he will be able to deny him the space and take him out of the sky will be the question, as both teams set up here on the corner of the point, not looking to go anywhere.
It looks like Maelstrom's got a pretty strong full total on the point, but it looks like Minty Hippos are going to take that back.
Yeah, Minty Hippos has so much damage with this fire. The shield from Maelstrom is going to be going down significantly faster. P-Shroom fishing for the hook, not going to be finding anything though.
Again, both teams just kind of trading back alt charge, you know, getting a little poke damage here and there.
But the window first to come down, that will be going down fast. The ult almost finds some value, and it will be the hook from P-Shroom, the first one to hit, connect, and it will be Mountainfall down the hole. Crispy following quickly, all the damage from that window going right down onto him is Minty Hippos looking to close out this point.
And it looks like they're going to be able to do that. Not a lot of picks there. Very passive play from both teams. It took quite a while for someone to eventually fall on. I believe it was the Roadhog getting thrown into the well.
Yeah, it was P-Shroom. He was getting a little aggressive looking around that side for a hook. And he did manage to, or pardon me, not P-Shroom. It was Mountainfall who was looking for a hook around the flank. Not managing to find it, getting hooked himself. Crispy though, first man down. No Fortify to save him this time. The halt hook goes down. And that'll be your main tank in the hole if you're Maelstrom. That does not look good as the ultimates just charge up for both sides.
And it really shows the importance of that Orisa Fortify on the Ilio as well. Not having that up is almost a guaranteed death, you know, with a well-placed halt hook combo. And Maelstrom really going to have to pull something together here. Minty Hippos already at 52%, looking to be in a good position to actually take this map off of them, and that'll be huge for them for their playoff chances.
Yeah, just taking one map off. A few maps is all they need, of course, going into the play-ins. However, against Maelstrom, that really gives them a lot of momentum moving on. And the way Maelstrom are playing, it's completely passive. Both teams are playing passively. However, when you have the point, like Minty Hippos does, it really does favor the defenders.
So a lot of ults available from both teams, so we're going to start seeing those coming out of the way. We got the Bob already and the Mail, but not seeing a lot in the way of kills at this point.
The Blizzard committed will be giving them the space as Maelstrom slowly but surely pushing Minty Hippos off the point. The freeze going down onto P-Shroom, the last man alive. Will be the Orisa Quick, just trying to touch this point a little bit longer, but it's already flipped as he will be taken out, staggered just a little bit.
Now what's really interesting to see here is, while Maelstrom has both support ults online, if you look at the side of Minty Hippos, they've got about 4 ults ready at their disposal. And with the Bongo and the Amplification Matrix, that's a lot of damage that can be shelled out from the side of the Minty Hippos.
Yeah, you got to be sure of it. And you know they were calling that in comms. You know they were saying, okay, we can give this up. They've committed Blizzard. They've committed to this fight. We can just win the next one. We're at 80%. And just try and close this map out like they did the last one. As it will be the Bongo with the Whole Hog. Just going to be clearing out this point real quick. Show committing the full barrage as he gets knocked into the point. He slipped. Oh, barely has the boosters up in time. Going to be putting a lot of damage onto the tanks of Maelstrom. Maelstrom desperately just trying to hold on to this point, get a little bit more percentage out of it. See if they can regroup in time to maybe get one last push onto this point.
And Crispy falling relatively late there, and Mountainfall, both tanks falling relatively late from the side of Maelstrom. With 85% inside of Minty Hippos, they're not going to have a lot of time to get back to point. They're really going to have to move quickly here and make sure Squash Head gets that taxi for both tanks onto point.
One of the big questions we have here is whether or not Mountainfall will be able to touch in time with its Gravitic Flex. That's a huge ultimate, and no ultimates on the side of Minty Hippos. Squash, though, finding the boop onto P-Shroom. Will it be enough, though? Crispy establishing himself on point. Crossfade coming in, healing him up so much. And the Gravitic Flex will be dropped, picking up 3 members of Minty Hippos, dropping them all down, fighting 2 kills as the kills are closed out by Maelstrom. Getting one more chance at this point. Minty Hippos may be wrong there to hold all of their ultimates in that previous fight, as it does end up biting them in the butt for that push.
Absolutely clutch play from the side of Mountainfall, getting all, I believe it was 3 to 4 members of Maelstrom up and down, or excuse me, of Minty Hippos up and then down, securing those kills. And when we look at the ultimate economy, both teams don't have a lot going into this next fight, and we're approaching the end of this map, so it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, if Minty Hippos don't decide to take this push fast, which it looks like they're wanting to play it slow, like just like they've been, but triage, excuse me. Finding the early pick onto Klaus the Reaper, no more, as the clock ticks down for Minty Hippos, just trying desperately to wait for that pick to come back up. Squash, though, looking for something from behind, looking for a boop. He's sneaking around on the high ground. Iconic, the raining damage, and it will be the boop onto Quick, knocking him right into the well. Squash unneeded. Triage raining terror on this Widowmaker as Iconic finds the barrage and it will seem to close out. P-Shroom finding the last couple members. Dallas Homer though will be getting a little bit of a skill, but a massive blossom from Klaus getting into the back line, respawning just in time. Could retake this point for his team. Crossfade going to be looking for the rest. Here, will he get it? Not quite. As Minty Hippos retake that point from a massive play from Klaus.
We're gonna have to get some clutch Klauses in the chat right there. Absolutely astounding play there. The cards were absolutely against the Minty Hippos there. Nothing was going in their favor. They had taken a fight down 5v6, 4v6, and they still managed to come through, secure that huge victory here on Ilios.
Yeah, that looked like it was absolutely over. Triage finding the early pick onto the Reaper of Klaus, but he got back just in time to deliver it right back in their favor.
So, excellent play from the Minty Hippos.
Out of the gate, really showing that they're coming to play today. But nonetheless, Maelstrom showing a lot more skill, a lot more. They definitely feel more comfortable on that double shield comp. That dive that we saw out of the gates on Ruins was just not up to snuff for what Minty Hippos was throwing out there.
Yeah, I'm really curious why Maelstrom was playing it so passive. I haven't seen too much of their games prior to this, but playing passively against a team like Minty Hippos, who the placing believes can you can just outplay them in the team fight. Spending so much time in stancing and giving them time to prep those ultimates and prep those engages like they were was honestly just an interesting choice from Maelstrom, and I don't think it paid off for them at all.
Mm-hmm. And you know, from Maelstrom, we talked a lot about earlier that this is a big game for Minty Hippos, getting those maps and needed to make sure they can secure that playoff spot. From Maelstrom, on the other hand, they're still fighting for that number 2 seed. Illusion right behind them. I think the only thing that separates them right now is just map differential, but taking a loss here would be pretty crucial and possibly dropping them down to that 3rd seed and giving them a bit of a tougher time in the playoffs.
Yeah, and one map coming in for Minty Hippos looking good for them. That's exactly how you want to start this series off as we get into the next map. It will be Paris.
Everyone's favorite map. I certainly won't be surprised to see a lot of Bastion play here, especially on this first point. But this is, I think, a big match, or this map is really going to be crucial for Maelstrom. You really don't want to be going into the halftime down 0-2 when you're still fighting for that number 2 seed. Theoretically, I think the number 1 seed's still a possibility. I think it would require some vitamin C losses, but losing here and putting your number 2 seed in jeopardy would be absolutely devastating for Maelstrom.
Certainly not a place Maelstrom wants to be. However, that slow playstyle we saw before is pretty good here with the Bastion holding on the first point. It's a very good option for Maelstrom, and we'll have to see if they want to continue doing it.
Mm-hmm. So as these, we get a first look into these compositions here, we can see from the side of Maelstrom running your typical Bastion-centric comp with the Baptiste and the Mercy, really making sure that Minty Hippos aren't really going to be able to get to the choke easily. And as you look at the Minty Hippos, they got a bit of an interesting comp here. You've got Quick on the ball, the Wrecking Ball. Interesting choice here. I think he'll be trying to use his presence as a distraction, try to pull Maelstrom off the point and off of the choke, focus on the choke, and see what's happening on point.
Yeah, I think they know exactly what they're playing into, but we're seeing lots of interesting hero swaps from Minty Hippos, but we'll have to wait till the last second to see what they really want to swap to, as it looks like they will be wanting to run the Ash Pharah. That Dynamite plus all those rockets can lay down a lot of waste onto the Bastion, but the question is, will they be able to land them before their tanks die? As it will be Quick who is the man to watch here, what he wants to do on this ball.
Excellent grenade there from Klaus. He managed to catch Reach on there, just showing off his skill on the Ash. It'll be interesting to see if they can get a lot more value going forward.
Pressuring the point is Quick, taking a lot of damage, forced off by Mountainfall, regrouping with his team, still not through this choke, but he looks for the engage onto the team. The invulnerability field will be laid down as the Bastion is taken out of position, regrouping onto the backside of point, using that Symmetric Teleporter to his advantage.
A very smart play from Maelstrom there, noticing all the pressure is coming through from the Minty Hippos, so they quickly use that TP to rotate back to point.
Yeah, I only question whether or not it was maybe a little bit early, but They are back on point, and it gives Show a lot more free reign with these rockets. He can play above on this balcony if he wants to. And Quick getting the bubble, engaging onto him. The invulnerability field down again. The Bastion going down, revived by Nagisa. And this will be everything from the supports of Maelstrom. If they can find the kill on the Bastion here, it looks great for Minty Hippos, but they get pressure onto the point. 1 tick down, 1.5 as they regroup, wait for their cooldowns. Kill off some of their players. Quick engages onto the backline, but the Bastion tearing through the side of Minty Hippos will be enough here as they push out of this small room. Pishram, the last man left alive for Minty Hippos, who can realistically contest this point. Dallas Shower just trying to get out.
Overall, though, it was a pretty good play there from the Minty Hippos. They did a lot of what they could there. They used Quick on the Wrecking Ball, threw those mines in front of the door, so it wouldn't be an easy exit for the side of Maelstrom. However, Maelstrom felt quite content giving up 55% of the progress on the point and just continued to shell out that incredible amount of damage that composition has.
Now this is pretty important. Maxi finding the kill on the reach. That will be the resurrect out from the mercy of Maelstrom. That's huge here. It kept him alive in that last push, as it will be Quick engaging very quickly, not going to be finding anything with that slam. The Bob invested, and the barrage will be taken out very quickly by Iconic, but the Bob still left alive on point. 1 more tick down, 1 more tick left to go for Minty Hippos as they get pushed off this point. All that damage is going to be maybe enough for them to not lose it. Iconic, yes, finding enough damage on the Bastion to win them this fight.
And it really shows you the importance of that immortality field with this composition. The Bob and the the barrage both being thrown at that.
Excuse me, Quick's not done. Quick just cleared the point.
Quick showing the power of Wrecking Ball right there, folks.
Dropping his ultimate mines on the field and just running over the Orisa, the Bastion, running into the mines seemingly willingly. And allowing Minty Hippos to take the point.
I think Maelstrom were a little concerned about giving up any more progress, so they started to try to take more of a position on point, and that allowed for Quick to throw out those mines and get the picks needed to take that point.
You know, if you're Minty Hippos, you take that as they do come into this second point with 3 minutes and 50 seconds left on the clock. They do have the Graviton to try and close it out, but the Grid Flux from Mountainfall will be the thing to counter it. The shield, though, as well, from Symmetra, able to shut down a lot of this point. Is so boxed in, a lot of these angles will be cut off by the shield.
An excellent job from Pishram here. Already down 2, but he's just doing what he can to farm off the Sigma on point and trying to get that ultimate online.
And that will be the #1 way that Minty Hippos can force Maelstrom down onto the point. This Sigma will be the man to drop for them, will be the man to maintain pressure on the point while the Bastion rains down the damage. If you can pick off the Sigma, it will force at least a tank down onto it. Quick knocking him off the high ground, but it is a little bit too little, a little bit too late as he gets taken out from the push.
And Maelstrom sitting in a really good position here. You can see they've got 5 ultimates online. The only ult they just used was that Bastion ult, Iconic. However, I don't even think that was needed. They could have been going into this fight with 6 ultimates. And as we look at the side of the Minty Hippos, they've got about 5 ults about to be online. If Sho can get a lot of poke damage before the fight takes place, he might even have a barrage by the end of it.
This is going to be a fight of fights to watch. However, the only quote-unquote support ultimate here is the wall from Triage on the Symmetra. Able to cut the point in half and give his Bastion a whole lot more cover than he had before. So that may be able to counter some of the ultimates coming in from the side of Minty Hippos. However, Minty Hippos does not have much to stop this raw damage coming out from Maelstrom and Iconic on the Bastion.
An interesting decision from Minty Hippos to take it right down main with such little speed. And as you can see, Sho already picked off before the fight even starts.
The Bastion alive, Iconic tearing through the side of Minty Hippos. Pishram desperately trying to find something on point, but it will be 4 kills for Iconic, set back up on this high ground. The mines not finding quite as much value this time, unable to 1v6 is Quick on the ball. Not sure if it's the right pick here for this point. He hasn't been able to really knock anybody off this high ground yet, but with less ultimates on the field, it might just be the opening they need.
Quite possibly. I think really what Minty Hippos need to do here is consider the pathing they're taking. Like I said, they're leaving so much of a long sightline for Maelstrom to just continually rain that Bastion damage into them, and they really can't do a whole lot to close that distance running it right down middle. They have to strongly consider going right or left and looking at different angles to pressure Maelstrom.
And it looks like they're heeding your advice here as they decide to go left. Quick showing himself on the right. Maybe just a little bit of a fake here, but he does engage it. Will be the slam onto the team. Not knocking him off the high ground, though. As Minty Hippos just push a little bit further up the left side. Quick trying to regroup with this team. Gets the bubble. That'll be bubble down for this team, which means the Reaper will not get it as they teleport right to the opposite corner of point. How do you counter this? As it will be Minty Hippos trying to get an engage on their massive grab. Picks up 6 from the side of Minty Hippos, trying to get something down to the invulnerability field, stopping absolutely everything. Show finds the pick onto Iconic. Will the res come in? It does come in. Iconic brought right back to life. Set right back up in this corner. There will be the entirety of Minty Hippos going down. And nearly nobody lost for Maelstrom.
However, the upside for the Minty Hippos, they were able to get up to 49.9% so far. Looking at the last fight here, things are looking a little bit rough for the Minty Hippos. Maelstrom, on the other hand, showing how crucial and how important that Symmetra teleporter can be in allowing for teams to just reset into entirely new positions and just shelling out even more damage.
As Quick finally knocking members off the high ground, they will need to take this teleporter back up to the high ground, interestingly enough. Playing it a little bit in reverse here, as it is Show engaging Klaus, teleporting onto the high ground. That is the Reaper down. That's so much damage lost for the side of Minty Hippos. The mines go off, but Quick going down just as quick as his teammate. Show, though, finding the punch onto reach. Quick taking out Iconic with the bombs, but it will be rezzed by Nagisa. The Bastion set back up onto this high ground, but Maelstrom slowly going down. It will be up to Minty Hippos, though, to find these picks up against the spawn advantage. Iconic, though, taken out. The Bastion no longer alive. Crispy will be the last tank alive for Maelstrom, trying to hold on to this point, let his teammates get the respawns in time, but Quick on the ball, so quickly respawning, coming back to point. That move speed will be enough. Mountainfall, though, providing just as much HP for Maelstrom. They're going to have to find these picks quickly, as not quite in time. It looks like Quick somehow stepping off the point for just long enough. The C9 coming in from Minty Hippos.
Quick was pushed down main. He was trying to grapple, get a little bit of momentum. So he stepped himself off point to kind of roll into that team. And then you had Klaus, who was on the right side of the point. He kind of stepped off himself, looking for a bit of a different angle. And neither of them were able to get back on point in time. And that's just your classic C9.
Yeah, honestly, I was so sure Quick was on that point. I was really surprised, honestly, to see that round tick down. However, it will be 68.9%. Just 0.1 away from that magical number. For Minty Hippos that we see, it will have to be matched by Maelstrom. And Minty Hippos, do you think they're going to be running this Bastion on defense is the question?
Absolutely. I think the Bastion comp is honestly just too strong on Paris with that one main choke that you just have to run that Bastion. It's almost a necessity. By not running the Bastion, you're just giving up so much free damage in such an isolated area that you just have to, man. That's why everyone loves Paris.
Everyone loves Paris indeed, and it will be Show, though. Instead of on the Symmetra that we saw from Maelstrom, he will be playing the Pharah, which is going to make this a little bit interesting if Maelstrom decide to stick to the Symmetra that it looks like they want to run. Some interesting teleporter plays will be able to be made, as the rotations from Minty Hippos are going to be a touch slow compared to these teleportation pushes that Maelstrom are going to be looking for.
And Maelstrom's definitely using that teleporter to just divert the choke entirely, to get right past it and kind of make the Minty Hippos fight from behind. They're going to want to get on point as quickly as they possible. I would expect to see that May wall thrown in front of that Bastion as soon as they teleport through, to allow them to get on point without having to worry about that damage.
As the early teleport coming on the point, Triage taking a whole lot of damage, but Show taking just as much, trying to lay down the damage onto the back line here as they all back up in the Mega Room, but Klaus shredding to the side along with that damage from the rockets. Show, Klaus only being engaged on by reach on the Lucio, but it won't be enough. The Lucio, unfortunately, not so great at 1v1ing a Bastion. As Maelstrom, that push was all for naught, as I think they just barely got the tick.
Interesting choice there from the side of Maelstrom. Their strategy was to just ignore the Bastion entirely. They wanted to set up into that hotel building on the left side with the Mega Health Pack and try to just ignore him completely. That's just not possible with the Bastion comp. Klaus sat unchecked with no shield on that main platform and just felt free to do as he pleased.
Yeah, not to mention, even given their strat, they didn't really get into that Mega Room very fast, and we saw Show deal so much damage inside of that tiny little choke. The second they peeked their heads out, it was Rocket City for them. Klaus with a great position, but it will be Show finding the flank barrage, picking up 3 kills, but Dallas Homer and Show traded onto it. That's the risk that you take when you go all the way back there. but it will be Minty Hippos pushing through, picking up more and more kills here, as they will just push out the fight. Maelstrom not really fighting back, even though they're only one man down.
And for Iconic and Mountainfall, they really need to get out here. They're just staggering themselves terribly, terribly late here. You get the big picks on the Show and Dallas, and then what do? You stall, you wait, you die way too late. Now Show and Dallas are going to be back. They're going to be back on this defense. They already are back on this defense, and Mountainfall just fell. So now, for the Minty Hippos, you got to take this fight 5v6, unless you wait for, from Maelstrom. You got to wait for Mountainfall to come back here.
Yeah, 150 left on the clock, and you run into 5 ults. This does not look good for Maelstrom. They don't want to go into this half 2-0. What do you think they need to do to negate some of this ultimate advantage from Minty Hippos?
Honestly, that is an excellent question. It's really going to come down to positioning and hopefully poor ultimate usage from the side of the Minty Hippos, hopefully trying to force out a poorly timed ult. However, it looks like Minty Hippos are being very patient with their ultimates.
Quick engaging with the Gravitic Flux, no more, no less, says Minty Hippos, though, as they will allow them to get through this choke just a little bit. Klaus repositioning on the Bastion, trying to get a good view on the door frame. Show, though, just laying in the damage, 55% up to his next ultimate as a boop comes down. Quick knocked off the high ground. The Forest swap does come in, but Crispy going down the main tank. That's going to be a long spawn, but P-Shroom traded right back on no more main tank shield for Klaus. He will be have to eating this damage from Iconic, being forced slowly off the high ground as most of Minty Hippos stuck here in no man's land, really spread out. Quick stuck on this low ground, unable to help his Bastion. But Crispy going down thanks to the damage boost and all that Pharah damage. As a weird little push here. Both teams playing about as passively as they were in the first map. Neither team really wanting to push onto the other, and it's ending in these weird fights of just players everywhere for both sides and not really super coordinated team fights.
And the downfall from Maelstrom so far in this attack is they just don't know when to reset. They keep trying to take these weird fights. They can just go on, and people die so much later.
But if Fluxo does come down, Crispy finding the pick on Klaus. That might just be what they need if they can deny this res. Will the boop come in? Not quite. Klaus brought right back alive, though. Show finding the pick onto Triage. Looks like it is going to be giving a massive advantage over to Minty Hippos. Minty Hippos are just trying to reset in this mega room. They have 2 ticks to give up. They have 2 ticks, but it will be Iconic laying down the damage on this doorway. Klaus desperately trying to get some with his ultimate here. Does not find enough picks. It will be in the nick of time. Maelstrom finding the picks they need in order to take this A point.
Absolutely clutch play there from the side of Maelstrom, doing just enough to be able to capture that point. Sure, it cost them a couple ults here and there, but overall, obviously you want that first point. And with only just over 2 ticks to go, they're in a pretty good position here to pressure Minty Hippos and maybe get that map victory.
Yeah, this definitely isn't over, and I think the Bastion rotation maybe just took a little bit too long. It allowed Iconic to position himself over the door, and all of a sudden, you've got 2 ults going into 2 ults. No ultimates to deny this barrage right now that Iconic's going to be searching for over top of this choke. He's just hiding behind them, waiting for them to make one mistake, and their barrage comes in, fighting 1, 2, 3 onto the side of Minty Hippos. That's a massive advantage for Maelstrom. Nagri looking for something, playing Nagisa, playing Battle Mercy here in the air, finding those last couple picks as they get 1 tick. 2 goes down to the point. P-Shroop desperately trying to touch, not going to be able to find anything as the map is closed out for Maelstrom in the nick of time. They're able to get themselves together and win those 2 pushes.
And definitely the deciding factor here for Maelstrom on this map was having Iconic move to that Pharah. As we saw in that most of that first point defense from the side of Minty Hippos, they pretty much just let their Bastion sit wherever without a shield and kind of do as he pleased. And Maelstrom just kind of let it happen. And finally, when they
appreciate this play of the game real quick. Quick killed everything.
As to quick
as ball.
Quick clutching up there for the side of Minty Hippos. But going back, Iconic, when he swapped to that Pharah, that gave him that vertical leverage he needed to just put so much pressure onto the Bastion of the Minty Hippos, and that was kind of the deciding factor that allowed Maelstrom to get that first point and eventually that second point.
Yeah, we saw Minty Hippos really unable to deal with it. They knew they were in the backline, but they weren't saving anything for the barrage that I'm sure they had to have known about. But the question is, will they be able to counter it coming into the second half? We've got a few more maps in story for you. Will be Hollywood and Havana guaranteed to be played. That is, if we don't go to a map 5, the series lining up to be a much more exciting one than you may have thought going out. Maelstrom, Minty Hippos tied 1-1. We'll see you in 10 minutes. And we are back. Score is 1-1. Maelstrom versus Minty Hippos. I have Cool Sam here with me. My name is Doors. We get back into the second half of this exciting matchup that we have. 10th place coming up against second. David versus Goliath. Minty Hippos putting up a very respectable fight so far. What do you want to see in the second half, Cool Sam?
I'm really interested to see if Minty Hippos can keep the momentum going. So they win that first fight in Ilios. They do really well, I would say, overall. They were relatively close maps, but I think Minty Hippos had that clear edge. You go into Paris. Minty Hippos look pretty good for the most of it, especially on their defense. However, Maelstrom was able to get those two key fight wins, and that's all you need on 2CP to secure both points. And they were able to do that, pick up that win. So I'm hoping, after these two quick fight losses that Minty Hippos just suffered, I want to see if they can bounce back and really prove themselves here on the spooky version of Hollywood.
Yes, so we got the the Halloween version of Hollywood. Say that 10 times fast. Coming in Halloween week for you guys. It'll be a fun match to watch. All sorts of spooky stuff going on this map. And honestly, I don't think Maelstrom proved anything in that last map. I think they won first point at the last second. They rolled second point with the very good Far ultimate. Don't get me wrong. Iconic's Far looked very good. But I think Maelstrom really need to pick up the pace if they want to secure this victory and lock it in and pick up just a 3-1 instead of letting this one get to a map 5 and get out of hand for him.
Mm-hmm. And what I want to see from Maelstrom is a lot more of an aggressive playstyle. I feel like they played very passive up to this point, and I think Minty Hippos have done an excellent job capitalizing on that. So what I want to see Squash on that Lucio. I want to see some more aggressive play, getting into the thick of it, getting into some more brawly comps, just something different, because this passive playstyle is really just proving not really to be just enough of what they need to take decisive victories.
Yeah, it feels so weird. Maelstrom are seemingly playing at like all different paces depending on their players. We saw on the first map on Ilios, we saw the Tracer die multiple times without the dive going in at all. And so it seems like players have different ideas of when they want to go in and how they want to engage. And we're seeing Maelstrom get split up a lot from that. And I think deciding on whether you want to play aggressive purely or passive purely is really going to help them out, because Minty Hippos has been playing almost purely defensive, and it's been paying off entirely for them because they're at least a group. Meanwhile, Maelstrom has been split up in their timings.
Mm-hmm. And as we look at these initial compositions, you can see from the side of Maelstrom on their defense, you're going to be playing a very slow composition. They'll have a lot of vertical mobility with Ash's shotgun, coach gun, I believe, and Iconic on the fair. That'll allow them to kind of get up and around places fairly well. Crispy and Crossfade are going to be the two grounded heroes. But overall, it's going to be a very slow play style. They're going to be playing for those picks. And as you look at the side of Minty Hippos, they've got a very fast dive-based comp.
Quick coming back out on the ball. We saw some special things from him. Some good, some not. On Paris, it'll be interesting to see how they want to make this attack, though.
Mm-hmm. And you can tell it. The Wrecking Ball is definitely a comfort pick for Quick. They played it a lot on Paris, and that was almost to a fault.
Nice coordinated dive, but Triage will be taking out Quick. The defense matrix not quite enough from Pishram, as he does get demeched on the high ground. Iconic laying in the damage. Defense matrix, while buffed, still is not going to be able to block everything coming out of as far as Show, though. Going in on the Genji. Running out of abilities will be picked off by Iconic in not too much time here. Looking on the backline, though, Klaus finding a massive pick on the crossfade. That'll be a lot of the heals out. If Squash can't find the res, Quick engaging, making sure that won't be happening. Pishram will be getting the remake. Squash, though, finding the res onto crossfade. That's going to be a lot more healing for Maelstrom coming into this. Niki's just trying to negate as much as he can with the defense matrix, but in a slow push, it looks like it will be Minty Hippos taking this point right back, reestablishing themselves and using that spawn advantage and those quick heroes that they have to as much of an advantage as they can.
Mm-hmm. And you saw from the side of Minty Hippos, there's definitely like a several-pronged approach, right? You had Quick on attacking from main. You had Klaus on the Sombra flanking from behind. You kind of had everyone kind of pressuring you from everywhere, and there just wasn't seemed to be a clear focus on who Maelstrom wanted to kill first. You had certain people chasing the Genji, you had certain people chasing the Sombra, and there was just too much of a lack of focus that the Minty Hippos are able to capitalize on it.
Yeah, and I think Klaus and Quick played together phenomenally in order to attempt to deny the Mercy Res for as long as they could. And while Squashed looked for it for so long, it denied them a lot of healing, as it will be Klaus finding another pick on the Mercy. Quick engaging onto Iconic. Iconic no longer with his Mercy triage, though trading right back on Show as the fight is evened up just a little bit here. The cart slowly pushing forward, looking for more is Klaus. We'll be taking out the main tank from Maelstrom. Triage finding the dynamite on a Maxi. That Zenyatta so vulnerable. No movement in Blaze for him. Klaus still providing so much value on this backline, taking out every single support in the lobby. Klaus charging up an EMP, looking to engage with it. It will be comboed with this Genji ultimate for the next fight.
And Klaus just all over the map. You saw him early in the fight with Show on the Genji, pressuring the Ferret on the Mercy themselves, taking him out. And as this fight progressed, Klaus just constantly behind the team, getting those key hacks and finishing off most members of Maelstrom.
Yes, there's 6 ultimates though from both sides. It will be looking like Daltomer the only man without his coalescence as the ultimates start to rain in. The mines drop with the EMP, looking to just maybe hold on to this point for as long as they can. Crossfade will be the man to touch it, holding on to this point. Iconic looking for a big spot to use his barrage, but it won't be needed. Triage laying in the damage on the Ashe. The dynamite hitting multiple members as it's closed out. Maelstrom reestablishing themselves on this point and restabilizing. And
it really shows you the importance of ultimates in this game. We saw from the side of Minty Hippos, they threw out 3 ultimates there, and they really don't get much of anything, right? They throw out the EMP, they throw out the Diva Bomb, they throw out the mines. They don't find much of anything. Maelstrom just throws out the Coalescence. They still have 5 ultimates online, and that's all they really needed to secure that fight.
I think a lot of that came down to target, focus, and Triage laying in massive damage on the Ashe. There's so much damage coming in from the side of Maelstrom that if they don't find a pick with this Genji or pardon me, Sombra, it really doesn't get quite the value they might need. And the massive Diva Bomb will be picking off Show. Show has nowhere to go. Walls on every single side. The res coming in from Squash as Minty Hippos just decide to reset.
That was an interesting play there from the side of Show. We saw Nagisa throw up that Diva Bomb as a reaction to the Genji Blade, and Show just kind of went on that suicide mission. He got Triage early. He was hoping to get more before he would inevitably be blown up by the Diva Bomb. Unfortunately, he couldn't find any more picks and ate a big bomb to the face.
Yeah, I feel like Maxi's having to play so cautiously because he's trying to hold on to this transfer. Iconic's barrage is my thought. And when he's spending so much time trying to stay alive, he's not spending so much time dealing damage, putting out these Discord orbs, and really providing the pressure that they need to onto Iconic to stop him from getting value. And Triage taking out Show from the high ground, winning that little 1v1. Klaus gonna be the next man stepping up to the batter's plate, but Triage taking him out as well, saying, anything you can do, I can do better. The Ashe victory for Triage. We'll be finding one more pick, a little bit more stagger for Maelstrom coming into this next fight.
And I think Triage on the Ashe is really one of the better situations that Maelstrom can be in. Triage showing he's very competent earlier in the match with his Widowmaker skills, and now here on Hollywood with his Ashe.
Yeah, I think we're seeing the Widowmaker and the Ashe. The Ashe we only got to say a little bit of on well, but here coming fully fleshed, all this high ground, all these places to hide. As Quick and Peachroom will be taking the high ground, maybe looking for a little bit of a different approach. Is Minty Hippos. Quick though, dropping the mines on the cart, separating all of Maelstrom, spreading them out nice and wide, though the Coalescence will be dropped from Dallas as next is the Transcendence. Although the barrage still up for Iconic, he will be looking for something on the backline. Needs to win this fight versus the Ashe. Will be winning it. 4 members still alive for Maelstrom on this point, completely surrounded by Minty Hippos. So Iconic providing so much value, finding Maxi on the backline. No Transcendence available for him to keep him alive. Quick though, looking for a little bit more on cart. Crispy using his fortified crossfade, barely managing to keep him alive as support, and the damage coming back in from Maelstrom, that spawn advantage. So huge, finding the pick on a Peachroom will be the ultimate from Nagisa though. The res coming on a crossfade as this looks more and more desperate from Minty Hippos. Just trying to get something onto the board here.
And despite Triage falling early and Triage kind of showing he's kind of that linchpin of the comp, the Maelstrom did an excellent job of playing around Crispy's shield and denying the denying the damage of the Diva Bomb, denying any of the kind of damage that the Minty Hippos are trying to shell out. So it'll be interesting to see how Minty Hippos can react with only 10 seconds left.
Yeah, and Maelstrom playing this ultimate economy so well. Klaus taking out Triage, no more Ashe, but the spawn advantage will give it to him. Iconic finding the trade on to Klaus, but is it enough? The barrage still in, the res onto Triage. It will be 6 versus 5 here for Maelstrom as the Bob drops in. Iconic just waiting for a barrage. It comes in. Will be slept though. Massive pick. Traded right back on. Triage though taking out Dallas Homer. Triage finding so much damage on this Ashe. Quick, gonna be engaging onto him, but is it too little too late? just booping him right back off onto the high ground quick. Just wants to kill Triage's Ash. Triage, though, refusing to go down. Squash, though, not managing to keep him alive. Clouds in the Bob. The last things left alive on point before Maelstrom can close out. Quick, finding a little bit of shield on point with the last man, though. Does not look like he's able to do enough. Overtime ticks down in no time. They get held halfway through the map. Maelstrom looking good for them going into this next push.
An excellent defense there from Maelstrom. They definitely looked a little shaky out of the gates. They weren't ready for that dive-based comp. And after almost giving up second point, I really think they started to lock it down. They figured out what they needed to do. They had Triage consistently setting up on top of the county jail, just getting so many entry picks before the fight could even take place.
Yeah,
and
Triage popped off, man.
Minty Hippos just could not coordinate what they needed to get Triage out early enough. And even when they could, they had committed so many resources that it allowed for the rest of Maelstrom to just kind of finish off whatever was left of the Minty Hippos.
And I think we can really appreciate now the ultimate advantage that they built and how well they used it. They were only committing 1 or 2 ultimates to each fight, Maelstrom was. And they were winning fights with them, whether it was proactively or reactively. It seemed like they knew every move that Minty Hippos was going to make, and they knew how to appropriately counter it with as few ults as possible.
And as we get a look, it'll be interesting to see what how Minty Hippos play this. Again, they're running quick on that ball consistently. We haven't seen him on anything else really too much since Ilios. I mean, he seems to be splitting time as much as he can between Orisa and ball. Interested to see how they pull this off on the defense. A lot of mixture of slow and fast when you look at their composition. From the side, however, from the side of Maelstrom, they're going to pull out the Bastion. I think that's all I need. That's all you need to say. They're going to pull out the Bastion.
They're going to pull out the Attackstion. As Show here, though, on the Genji, maybe interesting pick, but seemingly perfectly into the Bastion that will be coming out from Maelstrom. Quick, we saw him fail to really help defend on the defense for Paris, I believe it was. But now, with Show backing him up on the Genji, he does engage onto the support line, finding a lot of damage. Show, though, just staying up on this high line. It will be Quick, taking so much damage from Iconic's Bastion. Will be the first man to go down. Show dropping very, very low. Next taking down to half health. Show barely managing to stay alive, but they will have to give up point here. They will have to try and re-engage off this high ground, try and drop onto Iconic. The question is, will Maelstrom be able to keep him alive? The dash comes in from Show, laying down so much damage onto the Bastion, but the beams and the invulnerability field committed. Quick back into this by knocking out a lot of members. Iconic, though, will be taking out the off tank. That is P-Shroom. No more shields. That's alive. Klaus just desperately trying to take out Iconic. Iconic healing himself up. No mercy required, staying behind this Orisa shield. The question is, when do they start getting ticks here? No ticks found, no percentage from Maelstrom as they start to establish themselves on point. But Dallashelmer finding the pick on a squash with no more res allowed. Iconic taken out by Klaus on the Creek Crispy as well as the push completely denied. No percentage from Maelstrom. So much point control, but nothing made of it.
Yeah, and really what you saw there was just a poorly placed shield from the side of Crispy. They had that entry pick. They got Quick out before the fight would even really start to unfold. What they needed to do there is just get that shield right on the point and start getting that capture progress, because Minty Hippos did not have the composition really to challenge that, and instead they played off the point, and that allowed for the Minty Hippos to just kind of chip away at Maelstrom.
Yes, sir, and look at the top right of your screen. So many ultimates for the side of Minty Hippos. How will they use the mines to lock him in this hallway? They will look for the engage. Klaus on the flank here. They're playing underneath them. Iconic looking to set up on this high ground. Quick, almost finding a knock on the trash. Almost finding him off that high ground. As they have no clue where Minty Hippos are. Show dashing in, finding the engage with the nano boost. Just gonna be enough. Finding 4 kills. Massive Dragon Blade onto him as they're stuck in that hallway, taking so much damage. 2 ultimates still for the side of Minty Hippos, though. Maelstrom looking maybe to just even up that ultimate economy with that push.
And when Quick threw out those mines, Crossfade threw out the Immortality field very early in the fight, and that allowed for Cho to get that free Nano Blade without any fear of the Immortality field coming out.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that comes down to the comfort pick of Quick. You see a lot of Hammonds who aren't maybe so well practiced on him, just laying mines down on the team, but Quick playing it so smartly, laying them down inside the hall. As the ultimate economy a little bit more even here, they do get the high ground for free. Iconic set up, gonna be looking to hold this point, but Show finding a big pick on Nagisa. No more off tank, but the res will come down. Not gonna be there for the Bastion anymore, but they still have invulnerability field when they need to drop it quickly. The first man knocked off. High ground. Show looking for an engaged Klaus. Will be taking out Crossfade. No more invulnerability field. The Dragon coming in, trying to create a little bit more point. As Maelstrom setting themselves up. Iconic in the entirety of Minty Hippos, finding a lot of value with his ultimate Dallas Homer, trying to just hold on to this point. Quick still alive though, the main tank for Minty Hippos. Iconic though, laying in all the damage on the Bastion, unable to be picked off by Minty Hippos. Quick, the last man left alive on point. The Gravitic Flux, a little bit questionable, will be committed as Maelstrom look to take this point.
And Minty Hippos started out with such a great start. Excellent play from Quick to knock off Crossfade off that high ground as soon as he's throwing out that Matrix. So it completely messed up the Matrix for Maelstrom, and Crossfade would eventually fall. Unfortunately, Maelstrom just doing enough of what they could to keep pressuring the Minty Hippos and kind of keeping them off point.
Now, we talked about it at halftime. We really wanted to see Maelstrom pick up the pace and start playing aggressively, and I think that push fully embodies what we wanted to see from them. They got the high ground. They didn't spend too much time there. They got one pick. They decided, okay, that's enough for us to move down. They used their ultimates to take point, and they took it decisively. But decisive will be the engage from Quick. Slamming down, show the next man in, will be dropping down immediately, Wraith forming out. Massive purple nade, but will anything be made of it? Klaus dropping down on the low ground, the massive boop from Quick, taking the shield. Nano boost to McCree will be raining terror, but Iconic not quite going down. Show though will be the man to find the pick. Point blank, Deadeye will be there to close out the point. As interesting little push from Minty Hippos, dropping 6 men down on them from the high ground, but that's what you need to do against the Bastion. Find a way to quickly engage on him and drop onto him, and perfectly done from Minty Hippos.
Excellent job at Minty Hippos, as you said, utilizing that high ground to kind of get that poke damage, finding those cheeky angles to start pressuring that Bastion before eventually collapsing in on them. For Maelstrom, that was kind of a rough push, or going to be a rough fight. They committed most of their ults to secure that first point, so a lot of this was just a bit of a dry push for them.
But Iconic back on the far. The question is, will Minty Hippos be able to deal with it this time? He will be laying in tons of damage, although they do have Klaus on the hit scan. Klaus has been popping off this game, as well as Maxi, to try and deny Iconic a lot of this airspace, just trying to hold on to this cart. P-Stream finding a massive ground. Question is whether they're able to get the damage in. Probably not quite going to be a landing, but Triage finding the pick on a Klaus. P-Stream though closing out on a crossfade, no more invulnerability field as the Coulson's used to re-engage onto Maelstrom from Dallas. Iconic stuck in a corner, and that looks like it will be the push one for Minty Hippos.
And with only a minute left, things are looking rather bleak for Maelstrom. They're only going to have Bongo and the Valkyrie from Mercenary coming into this next fight. They might have Diva Bomb as well, actually, looks like. The alt economy for Minty Hippos looking a little weak, but there's only 45 seconds left, and Maelstrom has to get it nearly to the end of second point to secure this victory.
Yes, sir. Oh my goodness. Klaus taking out Triage, asserting his Widow dominance, saying you can beat me on Ashe, but can you beat me on the Widowmaker? Finding the opening pick, Quick engaging, looking to charge up his mice, finding another pick on the Crossfade. Maxi finding a massive purple onto the side, and it's just going to be up to Maelstrom to see if they can maybe get one more push out of this fight.
And excellent here retreat from the set of Maelstrom, doing what they can to get back to spawn. With only 15 seconds left, they're not going to have a lot of time. They need as many people or as many bodies as they can to throw at that payload.
Man, the watch here will be Show, whether or not he gets found out by Maelstrom. Maelstrom going to be engaging though. The May wall could be huge here to not a lot of this damage. Show peeking a little bit early, just trying to hold on to this card. They will be investing. Diva Bomb will be finding Pichu Triage, this time winning the Widow duel, fully expecting the positioning from Klaus as Maelstrom looked to close the point, but 2-3 found by Show, unspotted by Maelstrom. Looks to close out this fight. Nagita and Crispy last man alive on the point. The Bongo finally committed. They thought they had this one in the bag. Maelstrom, no, says Minty Hippos. They want this playoff spot. They want to secure it, and they will be closing out the fight. Massive play from Klaus.
And what you really hated to see from the set of Maelstrom is they had the Bongo and that Valkyrie online before the fight even started, and it took them so long to get it out. In fact, we didn't even see the Valkyrie from the set of Maelstrom. Really unfortunate, but overall excellent play from the side of Minty Hippos. They constantly were rotating one, maybe two ultimates a fight, and those oftentimes were enough to make the deciding factor in winning those fights. We saw it with Show in particular with the Nano Blade, and the Nano Blade, or excuse me, the Nano Reaper ult, Death Blossom. Both of those are huge team clearing ultimates for the side of Minty Hippos, and were enough to secure Hollywood.
Yeah, and I want to point out one of the biggest things that we saw was maybe a little bit unseen, was the Ana from Maxi. one of the biggest reasons you want to run Lucio Moira outside of the speed boost is how vulnerable Ana is as opposed to Lucio. Lucio can really peel from a lot of these Doomfist compositions, from a lot of these big dives, and that's really one of the things that Ana kind of fails to do. However, Ana managed to sit back and just farm nanos, farm heals, and be completely uncontested on the map.
And when you consider that Maelstrom was running heroes like the Diva, and at the later end of the stage, the Widowmaker, there needed to be a lot more pressure put onto that Ana. Instead, Maxi was left relatively, like as you said, left unchecked for most of that defense, most of that entire map, and allowed to kind of do what he pleased, and showing the importance of both the anti-nade and the sleep dart and stuff like that.
And again, we will see Nagisa and Squash swapped out for Mountainfall and Reach here, subbing back in for Maelstrom. Going to be looking to close out one more map. They have only one maps with Reach and Mountain in, though. So I think this is going to be the real challenge for Minty Hippos, whether they can defend the same team they lost to on the second round.
And it looks like, based on what we're seeing in match chat here, I think that map victory right there was enough for the Minty Hippos to secure that 10th, at that minimum, the 10th spot in the playoffs. So a big congratulations to the Minty Hippos. It looks like, unfortunately, the Comet season, in terms of playoff chances, is coming to an end right there. However, we still have one more map to be played, and it'll be an interesting one as we'll be heading over to Havana.
Now, Havana, I don't have too much too much experience on this map, but I'd love to see what these teams want to do with it. Minty Hippos, of course, probably satisfied with where they're sitting right now, up 2-1 against the number 2 seed currently, but they'd love to close out on Havana, get one more win, offer themselves maybe that 6th place spot if they continue on this track. It is possible.
Yeah, that win, I mean, for the Minty Hippos at this point, the only place they can go at this point is up. Maelstrom really need to find their footing here on Havana, or they're going to be in serious jeopardy of losing that number 2 seed heading into the playoffs. And with only, I believe it's one more map after, one more match for Maelstrom after this week, this is incredibly crucial that they get this victory here on Havana.
And one big thing, even after Havana, if Maelstrom manages to win this, we do go to Oasis. We saw Minty Hippos pick up Ilios, and so they do have one control point under their belt. And will Maelstrom be able to take another control point off them even after winning Havana? It's going to be a tough ride for Maelstrom to secure up this 2nd spot, but they're going to look to do it here as they start off on defense.
And I'm interested to see what Quick does. It looks like as we get that first look at the compositions, Quick is still going to be on that wrecking ball. On first point, Havana, I'm a little skeptical of this. There are a lot of long sightlines for this that could allow for Quick to be snuffed out early, getting a lot of that poke damage before he can even engage. And when you see that Iconic is on the Bastion, that's pretty scary if you're Quick. Minty Hippos are going to have to do a lot of cheeky off angles here and finding different ways to engage on this team because, as we can see, Maelstrom is going to be doing a comp similar to what they did on Paris, where they have that Bastion comp set up with a TP to settle or to move over to a different location.
Now, I'm no Wrecking Ball main, but I think what Quick's going to be looking to do here is disrupt as much as possible. Allow that cart to push as far as possible while being uncontested by this Bastion. If you can cause enough discourse in the back line, which looks like it'll be tough here, and really force them off this high ground before they're able to use this teleporter effectively, it might just get value.
And it's interesting to see how Maelstrom is playing split right now. You can see Crispy, Triage, and Reach are sitting on the ground, kind of letting that payload space move. Whereas you have Iconic, Mountainfall, and Crossfade sitting up on that high ground.
Yes, sir. And Quick just slowly but surely pushing this cart forward. And I kind of like this teleporter spot. When you teleport only the Mercy Bastion and a shield up to that high ground. Oh, his Iconic falls down immediately after being teleported. That new teleporter being changed so that it gets placed on the edge. Has messed me up many a time, I can tell you that much. And it will be Iconic being forced to, I suppose, relocate onto the low ground. Offering up a little bit more for Quick. We'll be starting the engage. The gauge drive comes in from Show. Iconic going to be the main man to look for here. Going down to the kill feed. The invulnerability field. The first thing to go down. Crispy going to pick onto Show. Mountainfall, though, will be demeching P-Shroom. The kill will be not going down to the Bastion. Iconic making the most out of this low ground hold.
And A valiant effort there by Quick. He saw that all of Maelstrom was grounded. They were all sitting behind that shield. He managed to go in there for that big slam. He's already up to 71% coming on that ult on those mines, and we've seen how dangerous his mines can be. So it'll be interesting to see what they can do here in this next fight.
Now this time, Iconic already relocating onto this high ground. Not too many players from Minty Hippos can reach this, but will they be able to push him off? It is Triage, Reach, and Crispy are the only people on the low ground. If they can beat either of these three-man compositions, they will be able to push this cart further.
And a valiant effort there by Quick to try to slam up into that high ground, but it looks like he just missed it.
Ooh, and Iconic just ran you down. You can only stay here for so long. You need to find that engage early, or else this Bastion will tear you limb from limb.
Interesting play developing here.
Mines committed from Quick, and a Pulse Bomb as well from Klaus as the res comes on to Reach. Nobody taken down off
Now,
of Maelstrom.
Unfortunate there for Minty Hippos. They had the right idea right there. They're focusing on those targets on the ground, trying to pressure them out, get them eliminated early, and they did that. They did just that. They just didn't have the manpower left to clean up what was left. That being notably the Bastion on the high ground.
Now, Sam, you know how I think Minty wins this point? I think Klaus needs to play that Somber again. That seems like it would be the perfect counter. You can play underneath this balcony, hack onto the Orisa, and on some of these supports that are sitting on the ground. And maybe then you don't need to focus on the Bastion, you just need to get the members off of the cart so you can push it forward. It looks like Quick will be playing underneath. Reach, though, trying to pick on a P-Shroom. Quick, though, trading back on a Triage. No wall will be available for the next time being, but Iconic trading on Dallas as they win this fight. Triage picked right back up by that Resurrect.
And Minty Hippos just don't seem to have an answer for Iconic sitting up on that high ground. They tried these one-on-one, one at a time dives, and they're just not getting the kills necessary. In fact, we saw Dallas throw an entire Coalescence into the face of Iconic, and he still couldn't find anything.
As the blade is engaged, though, Nano will be put in parry there, but he's knocked off of the high ground. Not gonna be able to get any value. The Diva Bomb placed to try and force some people away, but Maelstrom still have full control of this cart, playing so smartly along that Symmetra wall. Klaus looking for something, not getting any value though at the end.
That play right there showed off the importance of Reach's immortality field. The Nano Blade was thrown out, and before Show could finish off the Bastion, the Immo saves him. Show falls off the high ground, and then the Diva Bomb was thrown right into the face of Iconic. But because the Immo's up, he just takes it in stride and continues to wreak havoc with that Bastion ult.
And two support ults are left. This window can rain havoc on the entirety of Minty Hippos, putting in so much damage. The question is, will they be able to kill him in time? Crispy finding the first pick on it. P-Shroom Shows starting to drop low quick. Next to no help, Dallas Homer sitting at about 1 HP. Trying to get healed up by Maxi, but Maxi just trying to do something. The Sports, the only man left alive with their DPS on this point, just need to find Iconic. Completely unable to. Maelstrom playing this point so well. Dallas Homer must be left alive on point as it does take down overtime. Barely able to push anywhere on point A is Minty Hippos.
And you really couldn't ask for a better defense from the side of Maelstrom. That's exactly what they needed. Coming off of that loss of Hollywood, they really needed that strong defense. Minty Hippos unable to even get the first point. They seemed lost. They couldn't quite find that coordination they needed to snuff out Iconic on the Bastion. And Maelstrom are sitting in a very prime position here to hopefully push it into that Oasis map pool for them.
Now, normally the question here would be, what is Minty Hippos going to be running on defense? But I think more importantly than that, how do you secure, you only need 1 or 2 fights. How do you secure those fights if you're Maelstrom coming into this point?
You know, I wouldn't be surprised for Maelstrom to pull out the Bastion.
Bastion attack. I honestly think they're completely capable of it.
I mean, they managed to secure first point of Hollywood. They had a great defense with it. I don't see any reason for them not to. The Minty Hippos didn't seem to quite have an answer for it on Havana. And as we look at the spawn, we can see Iconic on that Bastion still. So it looks like they're going to be pulling that out again. And as we look at the team look at the composition from Minty Hippos, they're going to want to take these fights quick and in their face. They don't have the speed to get to close that distance, so looks like they're going to want to play close here and do what they can to get that Bastion out as quickly as possible.
Now pay attention to this early positioning from Minty Hippos. They are playing immediately around that left flank. They want to hold this cart as close as possible. They don't want to allow the Bastion to step onto it. They take this early corner, and they're going to be looking for the sneak attack. as early as they can.
And it's important for Maelstrom or Minty Hippos to take this fight early because that gives them at least another fight or two for, you know, another defense. And they don't have to worry about that cart getting into corner before the fight or before the end of the, you know, that payload distance is reached.
Not so sneaky are they, though. Ringing on the doorbell of Maelstrom. The invulnerability field drops down, but it will be Triage, the first man to go down. How do you think they need to solve this? Again, Triage getting picked off by Show.
Triage showing that he's the only one from Maelstrom that really wants to peek outside that spawn door, and both times he's been picked off immediately. So it looks like Maelstrom's going to make some composition changes. They're going to put Iconic on the Pharah and try to rain some justice from above.
Yes, and it looks like it will be the thing they need to get unlocked from spawn as they swap onto the Ryan Zarya of their own. Ryan Zarya versus Ryan Zarya. We haven't seen this in a whole long time, have we?
We have not. And sitting in spawn, reach on the
Chris running down looking for Shatter, doesn't find anybody with it though, as the DPS from Maelstrom trade right back onto him quick, trying to do something in the backline. Will be taking out the opposing Reinhardt, but not going to be applying enough pressure on the car, looking for a pin onto somebody. Crossfade getting the bubble from his Zarya and just going to be rezzing right back up his own main tank.
And as I said earlier, Reach was sitting in that spawn door, just constantly healing up his tanks on the side of Maelstrom, and that allowed him to have that Matrix coming out of the spawn doors. And I don't think Minty Hippos are ready for that.
Yeah, much less Iconic. The second that Pharah came out, you saw so much discourse from the side of Minty Hippos. They didn't know what to do. They started scrambling around. They didn't look together. The charge comes in and will be counter. Charge the bubble, dropping in from P-Shroom. The Nano committed, but will he be able to find anybody? No, he just has to play on this cart. He's not going to be engaging, looking for something on a Triage, but he just race forms out. 2 to 3 ultimates committed from Minty Hippos and absolutely no value found.
The only thing they were able to get was Show picking off the Pharah, but when you commit that many ultimates, you really want more than just a one-off Reaper kill.
And Maelstrom are playing this so smart. This passive playstyle finally starting to come in handy. Klaus will be picking off Iconic, though. That's going to be a little bit more delay. 1 minute, 50 seconds on the clock here. Every single kill matters here if you're Minty Hippos. Only about 10 meters to go. And Quick looks for a little bit more.
This needs to be the go signal for the Minty Hippos there. They don't have that Lucio, so they don't have that speed. So they need to be a lot more aggressive earlier on and try to capitalize on those early picks.
Yes, and we will see Graviton Surge coming up from both sides. Klaus will have his sights, though, to see if any sneaky little plays are coming up from Triage, especially coming onto his Death Blossom. Going to be looking for some teleports behind. We'll have to see if Klaus manages to spot those out and deny them. But we saw Crispy use his ultimate in a little bit of a 180 trick shot manner there at the end, not getting any value out of it.
I'm hoping for his sake it was just a fat finger. Otherwise, it would have been an interesting strategy. I'm not sure quite what he was looking for.
Something interesting as they play inside this building, not really getting quite as much value out of the far, but it is swapped onto Hanzo, kind of looking to lay down a lot of damage onto Quick, the only man to peek the door. But Klaus has such a good sightline here. Completely uncontested. Iconic not quite able to fire back when he's playing inside this building. Gonna be looking for a little bit, firing in his direction as it is Maelstrom posturing up on the cart.
And Iconic's the only one really from the side of Maelstrom that's gonna be able to put a lot of pressure on the Klaus on the Widowmaker. But
a massive shatter from Quick! Picks up 2, denying the Reinhardt and the Reaper on the card. They're pushing. They want blood here. They want to close it out on this third and final map. 20 seconds left for Maelstrom. How do they win this?
I mean, with that Graviton Surge from the side of P-Shroom and Show with that Death Blossom, I think there's a really good chance here that Minty Hippos are going to be able to clutch this one out. And despite that first point hold from Maelstrom, I think Minty Hippos are probably going to return the favor here.
Oh, Show finding the early blossom, picks up one on the crossfade. Costa will be picking off the main tank. Crispy, no time into overtime. No time like overtime. Iconic desperately trying to hold on to this one. But P-Shroom still has the Graviton Surge in his back pocket whenever he wants to chuck it out overtime. Taking down P-Shroom, never going to have to use it.
And what an impressive display from Minty Hippos here. Coming off that bye week, you can clearly tell they were prepared for Maelstrom. Picking up that 3-1 victory here. Things were looking pretty bleak heading into Minty Hippos' defense here on Havana. However, they really started to lock it down the more this match went on.
What a beautiful shatter from Quick, using the cart to hide his animation. And he didn't quite know what enemies were on the other end. All he knew he was going to get at least a couple, and it was definitely enough to close out that fight. I love that play coming out from him.
And when you look at this play card displayed on the screen, you can see all the cards are in favor of Maelstrom, and that's because Maelstrom has such a great defense. Unfortunately, I would say their key fault here on Havana was such a slow offense. They didn't have a lot of fights. The fights were very prolonged. They were very slow. They were not quick to capitalize on their picks. And because of that, that allowed for Minty Hippos to only have to worry about winning just a couple of fights here and there. And that was enough time to draw out the entire attack.
Yeah, and all things said, I think you really just got to hand it to Minty Hippos, taking the victory 3-1, securing themselves that 10th seed, as well as giving themselves a chance to work their way up into 6, maybe get out of those play-ins if they can win these next couple of matches. Maelstrom, all of a sudden, losing their second place seed, or possibly losing it, and things looking a little rough for them, but Minty Hippos, all smiles on their side, putting themselves in a great position coming into playoffs.
Mm-hmm. And with only 1 to 2 weeks left, depending on whether or not you played, this is shaping up to be a really interesting end of the season here. This could be like a bit of a Minty Hippos run. Maybe we see them get that higher seed. Maybe they make a playoff push. They've got a lot of momentum, especially picking up this key victory over Maelstrom. For Maelstrom, they're going to definitely have to go back to the drawing board, figure out what went wrong and what they need to do to correct it with just a week or so remaining.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things we saw out of Minty Hippos today was their ability to punish mistakes. They weren't necessarily making massive plays themselves. They did a few times, and it did win them some maps, and I think they need to, that'll be what takes them above and beyond if they can continue to make those large plays and secure maps with them. But I think the biggest thing that just anchored them into every one of these maps is they punished every single mistake Maelstrom made, and it really showed.
It really did. I'm excited for Minty Hippos. I liked what I saw out of them. I'm hoping they can keep that momentum going forward. So with that, with a score of 3-1, the Minty Hippos take the upset victory over Maelstrom to improve to 8-6 on the season and secure themselves a playoff spot in the Overwatch Tranquility Harmony Tier Tournament playoffs. Tune in Monday on November 4th at 8:30 p.m. for yet another edition of the Iris Podcast. A lot of the playoffs will be fleshed out. Maybe we get a bit of an early preview. Who knows? Maybe we see those last remaining conditions for certain teams to make certain seeds. But until then, I've been Cool Sam 69 alongside Door. We hope you enjoyed tonight's game, and we hope to see you soon. Bye.
Experience tranquility.